is Red Hot Reds Live. Here are your hosts, Ricky Logan and Roger Strauss.
Welcome to the Red Hot Reds podcast. It is Wednesday at 8 p.m.-ish, and we are live. But we're not going to have a guest this week. I think I might have mentioned on Sunday show that we had Nick Kirby. We're actually going to have Nick Kirby next Wednesday, so stay tuned for that. We're very gracious that he was able to make some time for us, but he'll be able to come on the show next week. But we do have a special guest. Ricky Logan is joining the show.
I'm back.
Yeah, he's back. His ear infection is hopefully under wraps and good and go. And other than that, how's your midweek been?
Yeah, it's been pretty good. I actually have an appointment Friday to get all the infections sucked out of it, so that'll be fun. But feels a little bit better knowing that we get the Ohio Cup back to where it belongs in the land of Skyline Chili in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Yeah, for sure. 5 out of 6 from the Guardians. I don't think we can. Obviously, we haven't been able to say that for about 10 years, 11 years.
11 2014.
That's crazy just to think about it that way in terms of just losing a series to one team for 11 straight years. It's very.
Well, there's been ties. There has been ties.
Well, yeah. Well, then I guess that we haven't won a series in 11 years against one team, which is very Brewers-esque of us as a Cincinnati Reds, team goes. But anyway, to go through the spiel, welcome to the show. Thank you for tuning in. We are very grateful to Doug and Jordan for lending us this platform at Ohio Sports Talk. Please subscribe there, YouTube, X, Facebook, all the platforms there. Also, you can go Red Hot Reds Pod on X, on Facebook. This is also a podcast, so check us out on Spotify and Apple Podcasts or wherever you get podcasts. We're really grateful. We're trying to expand the channel as much as we can. We got some guests lined up too. Like I said, Nick Kirby next week, and a guy that I met on Substack that does Red Sox content and does actually the whole league, named Tommy Bennett, a week after that. So we kind of got it lined up, and even a bigger guest in July, which I don't know, we can tease out, I guess, a little bit. That Ricky's been pulling in the guests left and right, which is great. But no guest tonight. Not tonight, but we'll talk a little bit more Reds baseball tonight. Just on the whole, but yeah, Ohio Cup. Rick, how about that?
Yeah, I was gonna say you could say that we're pretty locked on to our guests coming in here. A little teaser, but
yeah.
Ohio Cup, man, it feels good. It feels really good. I was 2 years out of high school or 4 years out of high school the last time we won it outright, and I was just a young lad, so now here I am in my 30s.
Yeah.
And we won it. Yes. Let's go get the parade going. It's the only parade we'll have here in quite some time.
I kind of meant it facetiously, like as a joke, when I said, I think before that, like, would David Bell's legacy be better if he had won an Ohio Cup in his time? And I don't know if it would or wouldn't, because it's kind of we kind of mean it that we're glad to win 5 out of 6 against the Guardians because they're generally a contending team, at least in their own division, not necessarily World Series contenders, but they definitely get the best of us, a la the Brewers. So it's good to win that outright and then have a trophy, I guess, for beating them. I don't know. It's kind of silly. Baseball is very, if you either win the World Series or you don't. I guess winning the division's also. Or winning the pennant is also a very valuable thing. But yeah, the Ohio Cup, I don't know. It's we made jokes about it before the series, during the series, now after the series. So, I guess the main point of it is that the way that the Reds played was great. To see great pitching combined with hitting and closing out games against a pretty pesky team in the Cleveland Guardians, where they have like guys like Stephen Kwan and J Ram, and that they don't strike out much. They don't give away outs easily, and they generally have decent pitching to combine with it. But maybe we finally caught them in the year that they don't have complementary pitching and hitting.
Yeah, they don't have the pitching staffs that they've had in the past. You can go back to the Cliff Lee days, CC Sabathia days. I mean, or even more recently, Tanner Bybee, Shane Bieber,
Corey Kluber.
I think Corey Kluber didn't he just join their staff as some, I don't know what coach it is, but one of those coaches that you sit at the end of the dugout somewhere and help out. But
Yeah.
I mean, maybe, and as much as the hate that Tito gets from Reds social media, I think he might have been the driving force for the Ohio Cup. At 2014, that was his second season with the then Indians, now Guardians, and they won it every year. And now the first year we have him, we win it back. So Tito was good for something in the eyes of Red social media, I guess. But they'll find a reason to complain, especially with the lineup they put out today.
Yeah, I think there was a talking point on the off the bench, rest in peace off the bench. They had talked about that the first Cleveland Guardians series, Tito managed his butt off, made all the right moves, pulled the right strings, made the right decisions on who to bat when, and then followed it up with the White Sox series, and that looked not, just kind of the complete opposite. But the point being is that I guess what we've taken away from this 2 series against the Guardians is that Tito still kind of got it, even against his old team, even against guys that he probably knows pretty well, that he knows how to manage maybe in-game decisions, knowing when not to go to the bullpen. Like, for example, we'll talk about Andrew Abbott, but basically letting him start and finish the job all 9 innings. So, like, maybe we kind of talked about maybe he was a little bit rusty, taking a year off. Maybe he doesn't know exactly which guys and where to put them at, certain times. But maybe now we're starting to round into, like, Tito's starting to get a feel for this ball club even more, get a feel for the starters, know which guys to put in positions to be successful. Because, before today's loss, they had won 5 in a row. And they were looking like they're going to start making some strides in the division, picking up games. Unfortunately, everybody lost today in the NL Central except for the Pirates, so we didn't make up any ground there. But
everybody lost in the division.
Yeah,
they're the Pirates.
Hey, even the Pirates they're not the worst team in Major League Baseball. I mean, they got like 24 wins of the season, so shout out to them. They're not giving up on their season that's already over, if you ask Elliot Rearing. But yeah, it looks good to have trophy. I don't know exactly. Do they put this trophy like on display inside Great American, or
it should sit right outside Gate A when you walk in the door, right past the metal detectors?
Really?
So everybody that walks in can see it. And
Wow.
It needs to be filled with Skyline chili and Grater's ice cream.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
And Grippo's chips and everything Cincinnati you could think of.
Hudipole beer or whatever it's called.
Yeah, garage beer, whatever.
Yeah.
Fill it up.
Yeah, for sure. Why not? I mean, it's good. I guess it's good to win. It's good to feel like you're better than the Guardians winning, because it wasn't like we just won, 4 games to 2. And barely squeaked past with a couple tight wins. I feel like we beat the Guardians. You know what I mean? It wasn't necessarily close, like we blew them out like every single game, but I felt like we were just a better team. And you can't really say that much about the Reds, because they'll have those moments where they'll sweep, like the Guardians, or they'll have leads in all 3 games against the Cubs, but lose, in some dramatic fashion, but in the bullpen. So I guess from my perspective, it feels good to be like better than a team that is a playoff contending team, is a solid team. I think they won like 90 games last year, at least 93 maybe. Maybe they overachieved. Maybe they're starting to come back to like where they should be, as a franchise. But you know what I mean? That just means 5 more wins to the Reds. That 77 game prediction of the victories from the Petcoa and Fangraphs. I don't know. I think it's looking closer to 80 based on at least current form. What do you think about that, Rick? Do you think this is like the real Reds, the way they played against the Guardians, or is this like they only play this way, or they've only played this way against the Guardians and maybe not against other teams?
I think the bigger issue is that we play up to our opponents, but yet we also play down to our opponents. I saw a stat. I think Nick Kirby actually said it yesterday, but the Reds are 18 and 19 versus teams that are 500 or better. And then obviously you can do the math where, obviously under 500 versus teams under 500. So it's kind of like, if we could play up to our opponents and then play up to the teams we're supposed to beat, there's no reason why we couldn't be competing like legitimately for the division right now. Like we could be up there with the Cubs. It really comes down to the offense, where the offense is just recently kind of getting going. But now, I guess we could talk about it a little bit with Nick Lodolo struggling as much as he has been. I don't know. It's tough. When Lodolo was pegged to be our number 2 and Abbott was supposed to have been our number 5, if he even had a spot in the rotation, it's difficult to find hope, I guess, for Lodolo, just because when he's not pitching well, he's hurt. And we're in year 3 now. 2021 he came up, and then 22 he had his first full season, right? Am I right on that?
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, he was
because he pitched in the Field of Dreams game. I remember that.
Yes. Yeah, he was the starter. You're right.
So I don't know. It's just like he missed a lot of 2023. He missed a lot of last year, and like the blisters and stuff. It's just it's difficult to. I guess I don't know. There's not really. I mean, Craig talked about it on the postgame show today. It's like who do you have that you replace him with in the farm system other than Chase Burns?
Good question. Yeah, the Lodolo question is becoming a bigger and bigger thing, as we're also missing a guy we're going to talk about in a second. What up, Mark Fetters? Rest in peace, off the bench legend Mark Fetters there. But yeah,
Mark's the best.
Yeah,
and Mike.
Yeah, don't forget Mike.
Sometimes.
Sometimes Mike. The Lodolo question is becoming bigger and bigger. I know we kind of touched on McLean last episode a little bit with Mike about like that situation. Hopefully it's going to play itself out. But the problem is I think we've seen Lodolo's movies a little bit too much. Like you said, we've seen him go from a situation where he's like on top of it like just this year, right? This first couple months of this year, he's looking on top of it, throwing strikes, getting whiffs, and then one little thing maybe derails it. I'm not sure. Has there been any reports that he's gotten any injuries at this time, or any little things that are kind of I don't know, bothering him at this point, like blisters or what have you?
I saw something they were talking about, like a potential of blisters not that long ago. I think it was like 2 starts ago, but nothing ever came of it. Like he was kind of like, shaking his fingers after pitching, but I mean, obviously that was a couple starts ago and he's still pitching. I think if he had a blister, they would say something. But yeah. I kind of wanted to talk about Williams' thing here. The Reds offense certainly needs Austin Hayes back in the lineup. That is the biggest reason why this offense, if he can, obviously he's going to be tough. He's missed so much time, but if he can come back and just be who he was for all of the time he's played this season, I mean, he's our best cleanup hitter that we have. I mean, I don't think he's a true cleanup hitter, but for this team, he's our cleanup hitter. And he's got the 3rd most home runs on the team this season. And it's funny because the guy he's tied with they played the fewest amount of games together. I think the number of games they've played together is equal to the amount of games played this season. I think Benson's played in 28 games and Hayes has played in 31. So it's pretty close to the full season total.
Yeah.
So if we could get those guys in the lineup together, because my biggest fear is they send back Benson down when Hayes comes up, and I think the easiest move is to just DFA the hamster. It's blatantly obvious there's not a spot on the team for him, other than the fact that he can play some defense. But I'd take Connor Joe over Garrett Hampson.
Mm.
But yeah, we need Austin Hayes, and they said that there's potential he could play Friday. He's going to run tonight. He's going to run tomorrow, and that's going to be his evaluation for Friday. So hopefully we can get him back, and hopefully we can get an extended frame of him playing.
Yeah, they may be being extra cautious with him because there was even murmurs that he'd come back Tuesday or today. I mean, they were just talking about a couple days ago over the weekend or something like that he was just running in a pool to get like rehab work back at the Arizona complex. So I'm like, to get him back like that soon seemed sudden, especially because it's like his second trip with the same hamstring or the other hamstring. But like, it just seems like, you know what I mean? Like, it kind of the one thing I think that will happen, because I don't think they're getting rid of Hamster yet. Connor Joe's got options, and they probably can kind of talk to him to be like, hey, you know, this is kind of just rotation, because there'll probably be another opportunity to bring Connor Joe back up because something will happen or someone will possibly get injured down the road.
And Connor Joe, he hasn't been great with the team. He had the hot start. You know, what do you have a hit in the first 5 games or something with the Reds? But he's miles better than Garrett Hampson. Like you could send down Connor Joe, but then when Candelario comes back, then you could DFA Hampson, just because Candelario would take up the infield spot too, I guess.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know exactly who else we got possibly that can make room. Other than, you know, I mean, we even talked about on Sunday show if McLean's still kind of struggling, he's still got options too. So like I don't know. There's kind of a strange thing in this organization where they got strong loyalty to certain players, and others they don't have any problem sending down to Louisville for a week or two or longer. So I don't know. And yeah, hopefully, William Wright's talk about sending him back down to AAA, although they need to let him. Yeah, we were going to talk about Benson in a coming segment in this show too, about maybe this issue as well. But like, I feel like they finally, to say it quickly, I feel like they've got the Benson they know that he should be, and that they're going to have faith in him going forward. But we'll touch on that more later. Speaking of starting pitchers, talk about Lodolo kind of struggling. There's a guy that he's struggling with his injuries at the moment too, and I guess that prompted a certain Cincinnati sports columnist to write some inflammatory stuff, and I don't know what to really make of this.
Mark couldn't have timed his comment any better for this segue.
Yeah, Mark, if you're asking Gordon Whitmire, who would you trade? Ricky has the graphic here. Yeah, Gordon Whitmire of the Cincinnati Enquirer. I believe now I'm starting to put together. He's the guy they refer to as the Cubs fan that lives in Mason, because somebody was writing all sorts of slander on X, Twitter, about like he is really upset that he doesn't get to cover the Cubs anymore, and I was like, oh, so this is the guy. I thought it was another, Enquirer columnist. But anyway, point being is that he wrote a story that everybody, even without clicking on it, knew it was clickbait. And it essentially is what our graphic is saying, is that he was going to get ahead of whatever Green's going through and send him packing. I don't even know where. I'll be honest, I didn't read it because I didn't feel like giving the Enquirer the clicks to whatever type of, I think I saw Clay Snowden say that this must be the end of the month and the rent is due. So they put out this column to get people to click and fill out, whatever monetization they have with their ads and whatnot. So anyway, the point being is that this is an article that was just out, I think just today, right? So like,
yeah, I'll read a couple lines from it just so you can get an idea. Okay. It's just idiotic. Says the Cincinnati Reds should trade Hunter Green. No ? He's the Reds ace ? He's an all-star ? He's only 25 ? He throws 100 miles per hour ? He's as good as any pitcher in the game ? Yes, all of that exactly why they should trade him now. And for anyone who wonders how the Reds might win without him, that's the point. Whatever they're doing these days, they're doing it without him.
Oh my goodness. Is that for real?
It is from Cincinnati.com. Per Gordon Whitmar.
Yeah. This must be, I don't know how they do the Reds pitcher of the year, but they must have gone to the media and they must have had a couple votes, because I think I know who voted for Nick Martinez for the pitcher of the year for the Reds in 2020.
Oh man. And then listen to this just asinine take. And assuming Green's latest IL stint for an apparent mild groin strain and bothersome lower back isn't serious, he could deliver the kind of bidding war that could return a package built around an impact hitter that the team didn't acquire in the offseason, presumably with multiple years of team control. I mean, are you going to trade him for like Ronald Acuna Jr.? I mean, like,
Yeah.
who were you going to trade Hunter Green for that's equal to Hunter Green on offense?
I mean, we joked before the show, Shohei Ohtani, if the Dodgers keep all the deferred payments set up and we just have to pay $2 million a year, that would be perfect. But that's never going to happen, obviously. But
it's so dumb. I don't even want to read it to give him credit. I have to give him credit because he wrote the article, but man, it's just a dumb take.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not necessarily going to keep this job, but I'm going to defend him a little bit, because I would say that of all the players we have on this roster, aside from Elly De La Cruz, probably, he is probably the would bring back the biggest return. And he is also on such a great contract that obviously the Reds would not want to give up on that contract ever, which I'm hoping that's the position of the front office. I'm hoping this is not like a situation where this article somehow gets up to Nick Kral's desk and he's like, oh, wait a minute, maybe we could get something really good back from Hunter Green. But anyway,
Castellini's forgot about all the incentives they put in Green's contract. They're like, no, we need to get rid of them now because we can't afford them.
Yeah, but I guess the thing, he's probably the most undervalued pitcher, as I think Clay Snowden wrote a couple weeks back. He's like one of the best aces on the best contract. So, I mean, with that type of, basically that kind of context, he should be able to garner a great, trade package. Should they? That's definitely a no. Like he is, as Mark Fetters is saying, untouchable here. Like,
yeah.
Really, this is like the guy also that, in my opinion, represents the city the best on this team, and I think
he's a class act.
Like, he should be like the captain if they have captains for the Reds. Like, he'd be the guy that like the younger guys look up to, because he's been there a couple of years. Obviously, he's not a full veteran like Candelario or whatever, but like he's been there, done that. He's the guy that also has like the character that you'd want in a leader.
I mean, his contract is 6 years, $53 million with an average salary of 8.8. I mean, you're not getting a Cy Young caliber pitcher for less than 20. I mean, Nick Martinez was a qualifying offer, and he got 21 and a half.
Mm-hmm.
And Hunter Green's 25, and at the end of his deal, he's going to be 29. Like, Nick Martinez is 34 right now, making $21 million. Hunter Green is 25, making 8.
Yeah.
I mean, you couldn't get it. I can't, like, Hunter Green should have fired his agent for this deal, because this is like the all-time fleece of Nick Krall. Like, this is the greatest contract. Like, if anybody wants to go, oh, Nick Krall sucks, point at this contract right here, because he got this contract done. This is the greatest contract in all of baseball for a pitcher. And you want to trade him? For what?
Yeah, well, luckily he's a columnist and not an advisor to Nick Krall or Brad Moody, to say the least.
This guy's got the ability to vote on Hall of Fame members.
There's another episode.
No wonder Andrew Jones isn't in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
idiots like this writing columns, and I'm done. I'm gonna mute myself.
Yeah, Rick, I think he got the desired effect that you're giving off. That's exactly why I wasn't necessarily wanting to read the article or give it much credence if we are doing that. I guess we are kind of doing that. We fell for it a little bit, but we wanted to basically reiterate our points where we're talking about like how Hunter is like not necessarily, even if he's like injured the next 3 years, he's still a great like undervalued deal. You definitely obviously don't want him to be injured, you know, as he's kind of got this injury bug now. Hopefully this is a small, you know, detour on what will hopefully be a great season again, where he gets top 5, top 3 Cy Young voting. Do columnists vote on that too? Oh,
I don't believe so. I
Okay,
think
good.
that is from, I think it's a peer thing.
So
I think.
the Players Union?
Or, you know, it might be. Is it the Baseball Writers of America Hall of Fame or MVP vote? I don't think so. I think it's like 50-50.
Okay. Well, either way, that hopefully is a situation where we're not going back to this article a couple of years from now saying, maybe we should have. But I don't.
So for context, Hunter Green will be 29 at the end of his deal.
Yeah.
Nick Martinez is 34 on a qualifying offer at 21.5. At 2029, Hunter Green will be 29 years old with a club option of 21 flat. So presumably a prime Hunter Green at 29 years old, hopefully healthy, hopefully a 2-time Cy Young Award winner and a World Series champion for the Cincinnati Reds. $21 million for what could be the best pitcher in all of baseball. I mean, that's when you trade him.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to re-sign him after that.
Yeah, get something for him for sure. Yeah. That's still years from now for sure. It's not our future right now. Unfortunately, I think maybe Whitmire wrote this article 5 years too soon, and
he meant to hit save the drafts, and he hit publish.
Yeah,
like, no.
Yeah, his editor was like, the date on this is weird, Gordon. You keep putting like 2029.
Yeah.
Like, well.
Yeah, anyway. Gordon had the Chicago Cubs curses broken tweet saved for like 20 years.
Yeah. I think we have identified our perpetrator that unfortunately Sirboy keeps attributing to Reed Mouse. That
it's funny because we had Reed Mouse on the show, and Reed's a Cubs fan, but at least he has good takes about the Reds. As he says on X, he is the voice of the Cincinnati Reds. He took over Marty's spot.
Yeah, okay. He's definitely the troll that he like as he kind of presents himself to be. Because every time I now check on there, he's saying something silly when the Reds do something silly. I'm like, okay, now I get it. It's if anything, it's all shtick. Which you need that sometimes on the internet because the internet can be a little too self-serious. And that was one of the questions I had for Kirby with all the guys he fights on Twitter of late. I don't know, man. I can't do that. I don't have that energy to go after people that have different opinions all the time. It's like, oh, okay. But anyway, enough about Gordon Whitmire. Let's talk about something more positive. We've got a guy under team control as well, much like, Hunter Green.
2029 without a contract extension.
Yeah, and they got a guy that pitched a complete game. One of the 12 this season. It's almost more rare to get a complete game than it is to get like one of those combined no hitters that you get from tennis. But anyway, our potential, hopefully, future all-star. Hopefully not the only representative. I think we at least got to probably like a combination of Ellie and Abbott, Ellie and Hunter and Abbott maybe. But at least right now, heck, this guy has been he's been dealing, to say the least. We talked about him on Sunday. I think I said he was one of the Red Hot Reds of the week was Abbott for me 1 week. So he's been doing this for a while. His May stats have been great. Just can't say enough good things about this guy because it's been fantastic. And we kind of know that he fades toward the end of the season, but we'll take this now. And if he can, be like I think you said one time, just like an average pitcher going down the stretch, it will still be a really fantastic season. But what do you got to say about our all-star, Mr. Andrew Abbott?
Man, he's really, pitching up to his potential. And it's funny because I've thought this for a long time. Like in AAA, he kind of had higher strikeout per nine numbers. And then when he got called up, he wasn't really striking out as much. Probably just because his fastball is not overpowering hitters. But when he has command of his curveball and his changeup, he can be really untouchable. Like I wouldn't be shocked if he throws a no hitter this year. Like it could happen. But I see a little Cliff Lee in him. Cliff Lee wasn't overpowering people, but he had that the cutter and the sinker that kind of like had that cross action that you never knew where the pitch was going to go. If he could add something like that to his repertoire with his fastball that gets up to about 94, his curveball's got a really good break to it, and his changeup, really has really good velocity difference compared to his fastball. If he could develop, that fourth pitch and then have like opposite movement to the other pitches, I think he could become dominant. Like I think he could be a number one, and he could be the number 1A that we thought Ladola was going to be. And like I got nothing but good things to say about Andrew Abbott.
Yeah, same here. He's definitely. I mean, we're getting this production technically our number 5th starter. Like this is
6th starter. He didn't even start the season. He was on the IL.
True. Yeah, he kind of had a little bit of a hiccup in spring training and ended up being just kind of put back a little bit, which is I think it's kind of fine. It didn't save him like a whole month of action. I think he came in the middle of April or something like that. So like, and that's the kind of the one thing. I don't know. I guess I'm trying to hedge against or trying to not necessarily put out there into the ether is his tailing off that happens later in the season. I mean, it seems that Tito has no problem thinking that, well, this guy kind of has, some innings limit kind of situation going on with him the last couple of years. But this past was just yesterday, this week, he went out there and pitched, I think, 11 pitches over his career high. Like he went 114 pitches, I want to say, or something like that on Tuesday. And his manager stuck by him. Like he went out there, got that double play in the 8th inning to kind of save him from putting even more pitches on his arm, and ended up going out there in the 9th. There was a funny clip. I don't know if you saw with Nick and Trace and was it Chairbox Reds where they go into the 9th inning or watching?
Yes.
So to set this up kind of quickly, Nick was kind of like doubting, oh man, they're leaving him out there. He's got a lot of pitches on his arm. Don't want to it's a 1-0 game. It wasn't like they're blowing him away where they had any margin of error. And they end up going to, I forget the guy who was pitching or hitting for Cleveland. He just sends
Santana.
Oh, was it Oh man, the 40-year-old Carlos Santana sent a charge into a ball into deep left, and Nick Kirby he's like, I knew it, it's gone. Because there was a runner on, I think, first or second, so it would have been the game-winning home run in the bottom of the 9th. And all of a sudden, boom, falls right back down to earth. Benson settles underneath it. Game over. And Kirby was just so mad at the fact that they left him in for 1. For 2, okay, here we go.
I mean, this is a guy that
I guess in a way he's earned the right to lose the game as well. I get that, but
has he earned the right to wear down?
This is it.
I mean, this is a guy that 2 straight years has worn down as the season goes on, and we're pushing him to 110 pitches.
I'm not so much worried about his ass as just getting this last out.
Well, you got what you deserved. Oh my god!
Clip it!
That was so
all the way
Yes, exactly that. And Trace called it. They clipped it. It should just keep going around the rounds, man. Yeah, that Nick Kirby's anti-Reds. He's anti-Andrew Abbott. You know
He's
what I
the
mean?
Gordon Whitmire of Reds podcast.
Yeah, I mean, he lives in Cleveland. Maybe he just wears it as disguise. I don't know, man. I was hoping he was on the show tonight so we could talk about this, but we can wait till next week to talk about it. I'm sure everyone's dying to hear what he has to say for himself. Obviously, it's definitely a funny clip to say the least. And he nearly spun around in his chair and like walked out. But yeah, that was an Andrew Abbott experience in the 9th inning, and
I'll say this: David Bell doesn't leave him in to pitch the 9th inning.
Yeah,
David Bell pulls him after the walk, and it's Tito. If there's one thing, you can say what you want about his lineup choices, you can say what you want about anything else, but if there's one thing that Tito is really, really, really great at, is feeling his pitchers out and knowing when the guy has it or when he doesn't. He could have left Hunter Green in that game in San Francisco where he went 8 2/3. He was just an out away, but I think Tito knew he didn't have it, and it would have I think that would have killed his confidence had he had given up a walk-off home run at that point. And he trusted Abbott, and then what that's going to do to Abbott is that's going to give Abbott the confidence the next time when he's got to reach in and find extra gas. He's going to have the confidence in, hey, I can get out of this. And I think it's a good move. I'm glad he did it, and thankfully Abbott got out of it. And just hats off to everybody. I mean, especially Jake Fraley making that catch, because with J Ram running, I mean, that could have been an inside the park home run like that.
Yeah,
that could have tied the game, and who knows what could have spiraled after that. So, I mean, overall, just a great game.
Yeah, for sure. I guess my question to push this take further and whatnot: Andrew Abbott, all-star starter for the NL, or is this like because they're gonna have Skeens in the mix? Is that like his to lose or whatnot? Or do you think Andrew Abbott has a chance? He's got the stats. I mean, you got guys like Robbie Reyes having a pretty good year. He's 8-1 for San Francisco. You got Skeens, Kodai Senga, I guess, having a pretty decent year for the Mets. Yamamoto for the Dodgers is having a pretty good year. Chris Sale, old Chris Sale, still doing it.
Still dealing.
Yeah, so like I don't know, like why not Andrew Abbott? He's definitely up there, at least in ERA and WHIP, and he's got 6 wins and 1 loss. So like I don't know, is there a chance? Is there an outside chance he gets a starter?
I don't think he gets the starter, but he is 5th in wins. He's got 6. The highest is 8. He is one of the lowest in losses, I guess, for a starter. A lot of relievers on here on the MLB website, and then ERA, he's right up there. There's Kodai Senga with 1.59, Paul Skeens obviously 1.88. I wouldn't be shocked if Paul Skeens is the all-star starter just based off of who he is.
He did it last year, so
yeah, and he kind of is like the face of pitching right now. Just it sucks he's in Pittsburgh, just wasting away, and he's going to be a future Yankee one day, probably get 3 World Series rings, but Abbott is he's up there. I don't, for some reason he's not. I don't think he's a qualifying leader yet, just because he missed the first couple starts of the season.
Yeah, he's only on 62 innings. A lot of these guys that we're talking about 70, 80, and Skeens is into 90 innings already. He's going deep.
Yeah, he is a league leader in shutouts. There is only Andrew Abbott, Eric Fed, Michael King, and Stephen Kolek are the only pitchers to throw a shutout this season as a complete game. So, there is an outside chance. I won't completely eliminate it, but should, let's just say Paul Skeens pitches on Sunday before the All-Star game, and Senga pitches before the All-Star game, on Sunday before the All-Star game, and let's just say 2 other pitchers happen to start on Sunday, and Abbott pitched on Thursday, I mean, there's a chance that they could throw him out there for 2 innings and just say, hey, you're our starter.
The game's in Atlanta, right? So
Yeah.
Chris Sale's outside shot as well.
Yeah, and I can see the Braves kind of being like, hey, no matter what, we're not going to pitch him on Sunday. We'll give him an extra day off or something.
Yeah.
But I mean, the Braves are struggling. They kind of need all the help they can get. And should they kind of, let's just say they hit that July stretch where they can kind of get hot, maybe they kind of ignore that and then go after let him pitch on Sunday and then forget the All-Star nod. But I'm sure they're going to want somebody to represent them. And if he could be the starter, they're going to do everything they can to be the starter for him.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm with William Wright that at the very least, hopefully it's Dave Roberts representing the Dodgers as the manager, and he picks Abbott just to be in there. It's because he's deserving, to say the least. So we're with you there, William, on that one. And I don't know. We can dream. Andrew Abbott out there, lefty. He's from Georgia too, right? Isn't he? Or am I? No, he's from Virginia. I'm thinking of who am I thinking of?
Who is from Georgia? I forget. From the Reds. I know Stevenson's from Georgia. But
okay. All right.
I feel like there was a pitcher from Georgia.
Yeah, I'm already blanking on it. I thought we'll have to do some research.
Yeah,
but
unprepared.
It's from Georgia? The next guy we're going to talk about, Mr. Willie Benson.
Oh, segue.
Hey, accidental, but we'll do it. So the guy that obviously we've been pumping up for how many before the season episodes, and even at the start of the season when we, had him start at AAA, we were really high. We wanted Benson to be on that opening day roster. We understood the decisions that were made to him be at AAA, and he eventually got his shot against, as Ricky often points out, against the Hall of Famer Verlander. Strikes out 3 times and strikes out a 4th time against a reliever in that one game he got called up for and then sent down right after. And we were thinking this is going to be the year that they just don't believe in Benson. Then they gave him a shot right for the Guardians series. Perfect timing because he got hot, got the team hot to sweep them, get them back to 500, I believe, at that point too. And then again, he does it again where he just keeps, I guess, I'm going to say this. He's learning the craft. He's changing up maybe his approach to the plate and not trying to just always kill the ball and pull the ball and whatnot, because he ended up getting the Frank Robinson Most Outstanding Player for the Ohio Cup. And if you look at those numbers, those are of 6 games. Those are fantastic numbers. That's a great week. 474 average, 500 on base, 1.158 slugging. So like 4 home runs and 8 RBIs. Like you take that. I think 3 of the home runs, or he had 4. I think that first series, if I'm remembering.
Yeah, he had 2 in the first game, I think, and then 1 in the following 2, or it might have been the second game. Yeah, it was the second game he had 2 because he hit 1 in the first game, and I remember Sadak saying, and one thing Benson's never done is had a multi home run game, and the next game he goes and does it. I mean, Will Benson, like I'm looking at his career stats right now, and just under 800 at bats. So you could take that as what, a season in like a month or something, a season in 2 months.
Yeah.
There's 30-30 potential. I mean, he's got 31 home runs, 36 stolen bases, 93 RBIs, 733 OPS, and a 226 batting average. I mean, it's a stretch, but should he live up to what I think he could be? I think he could be easily a 2020 player, and then with the potential, if he was to get hot in a season, could go 30-30. I mean, he's still just 26. Like he's got time to figure it out.
Yeah, for sure. And we talked to Locked On Guardians commentator, host Justin Latta a couple weeks ago, right before the Ohio Cup Part 1, the first series. And he also talked about like how he worked so hard to work through the Guardian system, Indian system back then. And he was just a very knowledgeable player. Like he's not a guy that just goes up there and, goes see ball, hit ball, and just kind of just has that unbelievable athleticism that makes up for maybe a lack of a baseball IQ. He seems to have all the kind of tools in that department. I think the thing that Justin Latta pointed out though is that because he's kind of got long levers, long arms, and a long swing that he is prone to strike out a lot, and that's been his Achilles heel, before probably even got drafted, by the Guardian system. The thing that I guess why we want to celebrate him is because he's just out there, he kind of represents the joy of baseball, much like how we highlight with Ellie, a guy that just likes to go out there and play the game and love the game. I mean, look at the picture they put for him out there. He's always, seemingly, when he's playing well, he's out there smiling. Not necessarily maybe, all the time, because sometimes you struggle. It's hard to find that joy. But, like, he's a guy that I think also Justin said that he's just easy to root for. And I find it very easy to root for him as well, seeing kind of the struggles and the way the organization's kind of, used him in the last two plus seasons. I really think that hopefully he's coming to a stride, and we can see this is the real Will Benson, and basically the guy that not necessarily, 30-30 sounds great. If he falls short of that, 20-20, whatever, like if he's just in the lineup consistently, I'd love to see him improve against left-handers, because they definitely don't like using him in that left-handed lineup at all. If he can start to do that and become like an everyday guy for the 2026 season, love to see that, and hopefully he can become that player.
Yeah, and I'm kind of looking at Baseball Savant, just trying to get a feel for how he's performing, and he hasn't qualified to reach like their standards or whatever, but his chase rate's still pretty high. He's 21.2% chase rate. His K percentage, I think it's down. He's at 26.8, and if I go to 2024, he was at 39.7. So he's actually cut that down quite a bit. And if he could keep that up and keep it around 21%, I mean, I'll take that.
Yeah.
Baseball, it's not your, I guess we could say, our father's game. It's not, Adam Dunn striking out 215 times is a disaster. Nowadays, 215 times is kind of expected.
Mm-hmm.
And his walk rate, he was at 10.3 last year. He's at 8.2, so that's kind of going down, but that's also with him, he's hitting the ball more, so his batting average is also up from last year. So Benson, I'll take him over Fraley. I like Fraley. I think Fraley's a good defender, especially with that play he made. And if Fraley's confident, I think they can complement each other as a good lefty outfield.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you can have four lefties legitimately that are good in Lux, Fraley, Friedel, and Benson, that's four legit lefties. And then obviously you'll have Ellie De La Cruz switch hitting, batting left-handed. And then I guess if Candelario can come back and just be serviceable, I think he put a lot of pressure on himself with his contract. And I don't know if he could just be who he's been, because he's been a good player most of his career. And last year was kind of like, I think he wanted to be the reason why we were gonna win games, and we didn't win games. And then he got hot, and I think it was June. He got really hot. He had 8 home runs in the month. So if he could just, I don't know, if he can just be consistent, put together good at bats, I think if he could hit around, because he's batting a $116 this year.
Yeah.
If he could bat 216, I mean that's dramatic. I'll take that, especially over Garrett Hampson.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely a situation where they're going to have some decisions to make when Hayes is eventually ready and when Candelario is eventually ready. He's still a AAA. He's hitting decently. I think today he went 0 for 3 with the walk, so I don't know if he's all the way back, because usually guys like Benson and Hines and CES were crushing AAA before they got their call up, and I don't think necessarily Candelario's crushing it in AAA, but he's definitely a guy that I think the Reds organization values enough that if he's ready, they're going to call him up and they're going to find a spot for him. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't know whose spot he's going to end up taking on the roster, but you like to think that the hamster days are coming to an end, rather than the opposite, where he's going to be on the roster for a long time. But
Yeah, it wouldn't be so bad, but when you have a lineup with Connor Joe and Garrett Hampson, it's not a good look. And I kind of get what Tito's doing. He's kind of give guys an extra day off for a getaway game. But you're also, you know, underperforming, I guess, to our expectations. And you win 5 in a row, and you have potential to win 6 in a row going into a huge series against a Detroit team that's 20 games over 500. I mean, that's and we're missing out on Scooball and Casey Mize. So I mean, we have a really legit chance of taking 2 out of 3, or dare I say, sweeping them. It's just I don't want to get swept, and if we can hang with the Tigers, that just means we can hang with anybody, and it just we gotta beat the teams we're supposed to beat.
Yeah, the Tigers are really solid. So I mean, I think we have them where we want them. Like we play up to our competition, so we're right there, baby. Like if we're playing the Rockies or the White Sox this weekend, that might be trouble because we might.
Well, we got the Rockies. It's the White Sox I'm worried about.
Yeah, or the Marlins, you know. So,
yeah.
So anyway, but the point being is that I don't know. Yeah, missing out on Schoolwall, missing out on Mize is nice, and hopefully that doesn't mean that they lower their standards or their expectations because they're not going up against, you know, the Cy Young winner. But the thing I'm kind of most worried about, I guess, is that the travel. They're on the road again. Like I don't know. They're not necessarily a great team at home, but I don't know. They're not necessarily fantastic. They're average, right? They're pretty decent team on the road, not necessarily blowing teams away, but this upcoming series will be interesting to see. Oh, and is Mize pitching tonight? I know Scooball is going tomorrow.
Yeah, Mize is pitching tonight. Scooball tomorrow. So
Mark's
yeah, we got
the Tigers are losing right now. So
yeah.
hey, that's baseball, man. Anybody can beat anybody, but that's hopefully our hope going into this series. If they don't get swept, they get 1. It's a 3-3 week, which is, you know, not necessarily great. But then to look ahead, I think they have the Twinkies coming up at home.
Yeah, I'll be at the game Tuesday.
And the Twins are pretty decent as well. But
yeah, they went on like a 12 or 13 game winning streak earlier this year.
Yeah, 13.
I mean, they got hot.
Yeah, but they've necessarily not kept that same pace. And then they got the Cardinals at St. Louis. So I'm not trying to look ahead too far, but we got three pretty decent series coming up with Tigers, Twins, and then Cardinals and St. Louis. So
and then the Yankees after that.
Well, the Yankees, we swept them last year.
Yeah, we're playing at home too, right? We're playing them at home.
Yeah.
And I wanted to get this to your point. You said, you know, we feel like we do pretty good on the road and at home. We're 2 games over 500 at home and a game under 500 on the road.
Wow.
So we're playing to our splits. It's just I wish I could find the exact numbers against teams over 500 and under 500. I believe I think Kirby said it was 18 and 19 versus teams over 500. So I guess that would be 18 and 20 now. So quick math on the fly here.
Teams are over 500. Actually, the Reds are 20 and 18. Yeah, like you said.
So it was flipped. Yeah, they play better versus teams over 500 than under 500,
which has been the narrative.
We could easily. I don't want to say easily. There's a really high likely chance we could win the series versus the Tigers and then go out and, you know, get swept by the Twins.
Yeah. I do remember last year's series with the Tigers. They're going into it. It was like must-win games for the Reds to stay competitive. It was Ashcraft bobblehead weekend, and he got called up for just the one game, lost the game, and then sent down, and I don't think was heard or seen of again for 2024 for Ashcraft. So hopefully there's some Ashcraft revenge game coming against the Tigers this week.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely a challenging series to say the least. You'd like to see him, like you said, to be competitive. And we seem to be competitive against teams that are over 500. So we'll take that, as Mike points out, 2018, like we were talking about. So like we'll want to be in the games. We don't necessarily want to melt down like we did the Cubs series, where we were ahead in all 3 games in the Cubs series. Don't want to melt down necessarily because, like you say, you talk about how the bullpen is one of the biggest assets for this club. and they kind of have to be if they're going to be contending in August and September. So at the very least, 1 out of 3, 2 out of 3, I'd be happy with. A sweep, oof, now we're thinking World Series if we're sweeping this playoff contending Tigers team. But I don't know.
Yeah. I just, if there's one thing that I want, and I guess you could just call me a complaining baseball fan, it's just, 33 years old, and I have never seen a championship in my city in my entire life. And it's I don't know. You get excited. I think it was Locked On with Jeff Carr and Stephen Offenbaker.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it was them. They said something about the 2023, or no, it was off the bench. It was Justin Kenner. He said the 2023 ruined our expectations of this team.
Yeah.
As Reds fans, and I understand the point, but there's so many larger issues with that. I mean, for one, like we're all fans. Like, we're not being paid by a team. We're not being paid by a media company or any kind of magazine or whatever to talk positively about the Reds. And when 2023 happened, obviously there wasn't high expectations going into the season. You came off your second 100-loss season ever, and we had just traded away everybody that fans knew their name. You lose Winker, you lose Suarez, you name everybody, you lost them. And there was a lot of unknowns with Hunter Green. There was a lot of unknowns with Tyler Stevenson. There was a lot of unknowns with Nick Lodolo. And that's all we had. And a guy named TJ Friedel comes up at the end of 2022, kind of shows some positive vibes going into 2023. There was a prospect in Chattanooga by the name of Ellie De La Cruz that was just setting the world on fire. 2021 draft pick. Was McLean in 21 or 22? I think it was 22. I think him and Abbott were both 2022 because they were first and second round. You had those two, with Abbott being a really solid pitcher at the University of Virginia. And then you had, the deadline of that season, you trade Luis Castillo. You get the Mariners' number 1 and number 2 prospects for Castillo. You get Noelvi Marte and Edwin Arroyo and a couple other guys. And then even for like Brandon Drury, you get Victor Acosta from San Diego. I mean, Krall had a pretty good 2022 deadline. I mean, that was pretty good. It's the other stuff that just kill you, when you sign a guy like Mike Moustakas, and I hate to keep bringing him up. It's not that it's Mike Moustakas' fault. It's that you sign a guy who's 30 years old, aging at a position where you age faster than most, and he never really played first base much. And they still played him at third when we had him. And he was a pretty decent second baseman for Kansas City and Milwaukee. But then, he's slow-footed. I have no room to talk, but he was overweight. He's not Jose Ramirez body figure, and Ramirez is 32. So for him to be the athletic as he is at his age, that's a testament for his work ability, I guess. But I guess kind of wrap this all around. The biggest issue with us with 2023 is that there was no more continued development with what we had. I mean, that 12-game winning streak, everything clicked for 12 games. I mean, Ricky Karcher got a save where he threw like 3 strikes. And it's rare, and I don't want to bring David Bell back up, but if David Bell could I guess, tap more into the potential of guys instead of just finding a robotic response to respond to, the issues with the team. And, it's, and then, this past off season, not going, I don't want to say all in, but just like there was better free agents available the year prior. Like, I mean, Candelario was okay, but if you look at his numbers, he's not a power hitter. I don't think he's had more than 20 something home runs in a season. He's never hit 30. And when we signed him, we're like, oh, he's going to hit 30, 35, 40 home runs. And it's like, that's just not the guy he is, But like Mark says in the chat, Suarez hit a grand slam today. Yeah, I feel like we kind of jumped the gun on him a little bit. He had that one bad season. He also had a shoulder injury, and I think that was the reason why he wasn't good. And obviously, he's still a very, very good power hitter. And it's just, that's the kind of player that we need on this team right now. Is we need a guy like Suarez. You need a guy like Kyle Schwarber that could just put the ball out of the ballpark. You get two guys on base, and we want Ellie to be that, but I don't think Ellie's a power hitter that's going to hit 35 home runs. I think he's going to have his fair share of them. I think he's going to hit 25 annually, but I don't think he's going to hit 35, 40, 45 home runs. If you could get somebody, let's just say hypothetically you have Friedel leading off, and then you have Ellie batting second, and then you have, I don't know, Matt McLain batting third, living up to his potential, and then you have Schwarber or Suarez coming in and driving three of them in on a 3-run homer or a grand slam or just putting a ball in the gap. Like there's no, it just feel like the development never continued. And I feel like that's the accountability they were talking about. I don't think it was accountability. It's like, oh, this guy stole a base and got thrown out, or he made a bad decision running the bases. I think the accountability is guys trying to improve. And we kind of saw that going into spring training where they had the reports of, who was it? Ashcraft and Sam Mole kind of coming in overweight, not in shape, coming into spring training. And I think that's the accountability. We saw the work that Noelvi Marte put in. Obviously, he struggled all of last year. They had the suspension. Struggled in the Dominican League and Mexican League, but then when he got the spring training in AAA, like you could tell he was tinkering with things and he was working on things. And then he gets to AAA in the season, and he just figures it out. And it's stuff like that, and I think that's what Tito is trying to find. Tito, you can only do so much with the roster. I'm talking a lot right now. You could only do so much with who you have. And, maybe the reason why he's batting Espinal in the 2-hole as much as he has is because Espinal comes in, puts his head down, and just goes to work. Yeah, he's grounding into the most double plays out of anybody. But who else bats second on this team that's going to be consistent and puts the bat on the ball?
And Lux of late, but
yeah. But versus right-handed or versus left-handed pitching,
not so much.
He's batting like 140, and he's batting almost 400 versus right-handed pitching. Like as bad as Espinal's been, he's still batting pretty close to his splits. He's batting like 295 versus lefties and like 230 versus righties. Lux, if you're facing a right-handed pitcher, I'm taking Lux right now, but versus the lefty, I'm not out. I mean, obviously, your dream is to have McLain or Ellie batting second, but Ellie very clearly wants to bat third. So, if McLain could figure it out and start hitting the ball more, he's your future 2-hole hitter. It's just right now, I don't know who else you put there versus left-handed pitching.
No, and you're right to hit on like the guys that we sign, Moustakas, Candelario, Hayes, they're not 30, 40 home run hitters. I mean, maybe Hayes, he has to be healthy the whole time, but like as Williams talked about here, Suarez is the one that had elite power. He's the last guy that nearly hit 50 home runs. He had 49, I think we said in 2019 or 2017, somewhere along there.
It was 2019.
Yeah, it was before the pandemic or whatever, before 2020. That's the last guy to have like to use Great American Small Park for what it is. It's just a bandbox to pull the ball and hit over the fence. Maybe that's not the drafting profile that the Reds go for, but like we're going to do a draft show in about a month from now, and there's been talks about a guy that I was looking up and doing some research on. Jace Laviolette could fall down to the number 9 spot for the Reds. Outfielder from, where is he from? Texas A&M. Supposed to have some decent power, and I don't know if the Reds organization is kind of going to build that like that way. We obviously see that they like to bring in not necessarily ready-made arms, but guys like, Burns and Louder, who have pitched at the college level for at least 3 years and are basically going to be major league ready in maybe less than a year. So, like, I don't know if that's still going to be a philosophy this time around. You love to possibly go get an outfielder who's, had a couple of years in college and maybe ready to contribute sooner than later. But I don't know. It's a good question what we're going to do in terms of roster building. This organization, I think sometimes we talked about, kind of builds up the pitching staff and then kind of just hopes and says, okay, who's going to get it done for us this time? Is it going to be CES? Is it going to be Austin Hayes? Is it going to be Ellie? Is it going to be, you know what I mean? Like it's kind of a hope on offense. Like somebody's going to get enough runs across the board. Because to your point of talking like just like manufacturing runs, last week the stat I pointed out, we went 4-2 right last week by sweeping the Diamondbacks, but that whole week those 6 games were 4 for 37 in runners in scoring position. That's like 11%. Like that's horrible in terms of just producing. Like, if we're not going to be a power hitting team, we sure have to be better in the runners in scoring position category. Like, we can't be bad at both, because if we're bad at both, then this is why this team gets shut out 7 games, 1-0. Like, this is frustrating. Just this is the Reds' experience of like 24 runs on Easter, getting shut out 7 times, 1-0. Like, why can't we go somewhere in between? Like, can we spread all those 24 runs out a little bit more and like use it in the games that we really need it? But
you want a fun stat on Eugenio Suarez?
Okay, yeah.
So there are only 2 seasons in his career, excluding his first year with Detroit, where he had less than 20 home runs.
Okay.
And I'll give you a hint. One was a shortened season.
Okay.
and the second one was his first full season with the Reds. He hit,
yeah, man. And he's still doing it.
He hit 13 home runs in 2015. And then he hit 21, 26, 34, 49, 15 in 2020. He was on pace for probably 40 in 2020 had there been a full season. 31 and 21, and then in 22 he hits 31 for Seattle, and then he hits 22 for Seattle in 23. Then he goes to Arizona and hits 30, and he's got 18 right now.
19 if you include today's Grand Slam.
Yeah, today's Grand Slam, yeah. And say what you want about him, but he was a negative WAR player in 2021 with, he had the terrible batting average. He hit, what did he hit? I just lost the stat. 198 and 202 in the shortened season in 2020, and then 2021 he hit 198. But ever since then, he's been 230 or higher, and he's at 224 right now. And he's still, I don't want to say he's young, but 33, where you now have a DH every day. Like imagine if we had kept him and not Candelario, or if you add Candelario as a complementary piece. It's Suarez. I guess just you could tell by the hair. I was a big Suarez fan,
yeah.
And I don't know. He played in all 162 games in 2023. Like, he's been available. He's been very productive. I get it. When you look at his WAR numbers, he's a 1.3 WAR right now, 3.1 year WAR last year. His final season with the Reds, he was negative 0.5 and then plus 0.5. But he was an average 3 WAR player for the Reds almost every year, barring his first 2 seasons with the Reds. So I don't know. I think if Suarez within this lineup, he's probably got 40 home runs on this team.
Yeah, William agrees with you there. And I don't know if the D-backs are kind of sellers like Mike is saying, because Corbin Burns is done for the year. They're not necessarily having the greatest season, and they're in a tough division as well out west. I don't know. Maybe there's a reunion somewhere. I don't know, maybe not this year. Maybe next year. Maybe. You never know. That would make a lot of Reds fans happy. I know we talk about Suarez a lot on the show.
Yeah, I think it's just because he was like, to take away Castellanos, he's been like our one true power hitter. Other than Jay Bruce for a couple years, and then Adam Dunn back in the day. But I mean, there hasn't really been like the threatening bat in the lineup.
We got Scotty Schebler. Okay, Schebler.
Yeah, old Scotty. He's the second to last Red to hit 30 home runs in a season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
for an outfielder, anyway.
Yeah, right. Yeah, hey, he had a good year. Had a good 30 home run year in 2017, something like that. Oh. Yeah. Shout out to Scotty Schebler.
Hey, what's he doing now? Can he still pick up a bat? Can he still swing?
Give him a call. I mean, hey, Mike keeps wanting us to sign JD Martinez, and JD Martinez is older than me.
I'll take it.
So,
can you swing a bat, Roger? Can
no,
we get you out there?
No, please no. That'll be bad. But yeah, I don't know. Any other things you got, Ricky? I know this is a Wednesday show. We don't necessarily do our usual stuff, so we'll have our Sunday show coming up as well, doing our usual topics and player of the week and Reds Facebook comment of the week and all that. But yeah, we appreciate everyone tuning in today. You got any more shows you got this week, Rick?
I got a pregame show Friday. Could always pop in on a postgame show should somebody need a break or something. And I think not this coming week, but the week after, I got Monday and Friday. But yeah, it's in the future. But yeah, we got Nick Kirby coming on next Wednesday. We have the guy you mentioned, I forgot his name already, from the for the Red Sox. Mm-hmm. I guess if you watched this far, we got Jeff Carr from Locked On Reds coming on July 2nd. So look out for that. That'd be kind of fun. If you have any questions for any of these guys, shoot a comment in the video, DM us on any of the social medias. And yeah, we'll do our best to get questions to them. I'm sure like Reed kind of enjoyed it. And like you got your Dubby drink there. Shout out Dubby. Use code RedHot10 for 10% off your order at Dubby.gg. I still haven't gotten mine yet. I need to get it.
Oh, no.
But from what you said, it looks delicious. I saw they have a new one. They've been advertising. It was like some kind of cherry
blossom. They have like this Japanese kind of motif that they go for a lot, and manga. What is it? Comics or whatever. I don't know, the anime comics. That's it. Like they have like that kind of motif all the time with this kind of stuff. But I needed it today for sure because I was dragging today. Yeah, I
got the pine berry splash in my cart right now. So that'd be my Dubby purchase.
Yeah,
really looking forward to it. They say it's the only zero sugar focused energy drink on the market, and it looks pretty good. They have some that you can mix with milk too. I haven't. There's not a whole lot that I see on here, but they have they got some of those. They got. I guess I could put the website on the screen. Well, they help us out. We'll show their stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
If you make it here this far, you're getting the after hour conversation here.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah, no, I
want to highlight this comment from Mike real quick. Eugenio Suarez, the third highest Venezuelan-born player in home runs behind Andres Galarraga and Miguel Cabrera. So, Hall of Famer? No.
Venezuela Hall of Fame for sure.
Yeah, I mean he had the most home runs in a season by a Venezuelan-born player when he hit the 49. That's a big deal. I mean, if there's one thing about baseball is like there's been so many players that are Latin heritage that are just, legendary. I mean, you can go even recently, Albert Pujols, Miguel Cabrera, I mean, Ellie De La Cruz right now,
Juan Soto.
I'm dropping his name for some reason. I just talked about him earlier from the Braves. Ronald Acuna Jr. I mean, there's so many players. A-Rod. I mean, if you want to go back to the steroid era, I mean, there's so many players that are Latin heritage that I'm not even doing them a service by naming who I'm naming.
Yeah.
But let's get this dubby pulled up here. Mango orange cream. S'mores, that's the one they've been kind of promoting too in the email. That looks pretty good. Tiger's blood. My oldest son, they have the slushy machine, the icy machines.
Yeah.
The trucks. He gets the tiger's blood. I think it's like coconut and orange or something.
Okay.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
See what else we got here. Cherry blossom. There it is. The Japanese bundle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that motif.
Trying to find the one they have. There's Grandpa's denture water. Not sure I want to try that one.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Calio cream. I'm trying to find the one with the milk. They have one with milk, or where you have to add milk instead of water.
Okay. Yeah, I don't remember seeing that, but
we'll end that. But yeah, shout out to Dubby. They always use the code RedHot10. You get 10% off your order at checkout, and help them. And by helping them, you're helping us too. So we really appreciate it if you go check them out.
Yeah, for sure. All right, check out Ricky on Friday. No Reds game tomorrow, so take it easy. Do some yard work.
Last T-ball game of the season tomorrow.
Oh, go to a T-ball game. That's good use of your time since there's no Reds to watch. But you got anything else, Rick?
No, that's about it for me. You got anything going on?
No, I just back from vacation. Now I got to go back to work. So
Jordan coming in here with a bomb.
What are we talking about? I don't know what that means. But anyway, if you got nothing, let's sign off and say go Reds.
Go Reds.
We're the Reds. Red hot. We're the Reds. Red hot. We're the Reds.